Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back and doing a very angry video on game journalists. Now, if you haven't heard the news, game journalists have now decided to attack CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077 by creating these pieces. And the main example I'm going to use is Jason's piece, which, this guy is kind of a dick. Cyberpunk 2077 publisher orders 6-day weeks ahead of launch, basically means mandatory crunch. Now, if you haven't noticed, if you've been keeping up with Cyberpunk 2077 at all, you know that CD Projekt Red has promised no mandatory crunch, and they have kept that promise. They have, and I want to explain why in a bit. But this article came out. They updated it on September 30th, so this wasn't too long ago. This was probably like last week. So this guy is basically saying how CD Projekt Red is now forcing employees to work 6 weeks ahead of launch. Basically means they're going to push them to the limit. Now, this is entirely not true. This is entirely not true. And this guy apparently has evidence with an email that's fabricated as fuck, which I'll look at in a bit. But it says, video game developer CD Projekt Red has told employees on Monday that 6-day work weeks will be mandatory leading up to the November release of the highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077. This is not true. And again, I'll get to it in a bit. Because the quartering did a, if you want to watch the quarterings video, he did a better video than what I'm making, but this is just basically me talking about this. Um, but an account from CD Projekt Red employee recently, as well as an email to staff earlier this week, indicates that the company hasn't lived up to its word. The employee, who asked not to be named, discussing private information, sure they did, said that some staff have already been putting in nights and weekends for more than a year. Sure. That's why the game was delayed how many times, Jason? Is that why? I mean, if they were crunching for more than a year, the game would have been out by its original to second release date. It wouldn't have been pushed back twice now. It wouldn't have been pushed back. So you're saying mandatory crunch? If they were working nights and weekends, that game would be in our hands by now. You absolute fucking idiot. In an email, CD Projekt Red head Adam wrote that he was optimistic about the state of Cyberpunk 2077, which stars Keanu Reeves. Now they just put the game, and they just sent the game to be certified for release on Sony Corp's PlayStation and Microsoft Corp's Xbox. Now he wrote it was time to fix the game's many lingering bugs and glitches. Starting today, the entire studio is in overdrive. Elaborating, this meant your typical amount of work one day of the weekend. The extra work would be paid and required by Polish labor laws. Many video game studios don't pay for overtime. Even if they are crunching, they're like one of the few studios that actually pay for overtime. I take it upon myself to receive the full backlash for the decision, he wrote. I know this is a direct opposition to what we have said about crunch. It's also a direct opposition to what I personally grew to believe a while back, that crunch should never be the answer, but we extended all other possible means of navigating the situation. And on a post on Twitter, said CD Projekt Red employees can continue to count on bonus payouts amounting to 10% of the company's annual profit. This could prove to be a lucrative sum, as analysts estimate that Warsaw-based company net will rise 11-fold to 2 billion zloty, which is $520 million in 2020. CD Projekt Red had 1,079 employees at the end of June. This whole piece right here is basically this guy repeating over and over again how they said, oh, we wouldn't put in crunch hours, we wouldn't put in crunch hours, which they didn't. Well, they are, but there's a reason why they are. So if you click on this one, CD Projekt Red employees speak out in defense of Cyberpunk 2077. In the recent video by Jeremy of The Quartering, great video by the way, he addresses the entire crunch fiasco, which seems to be surrounding Cyberpunk 2077. He goes on to call out numerous journalists who have reported on this issue. He debunks the allegations against the makers of Cyberpunk 2077 and goes on to address the heart of the matter. The reality is that CD Projekt Red employees voted. They had the option to extend the game another 6 weeks, per work 6 days, or work 6 days a week to get the game done. I don't know, there's an error right here. So they had an option to extend the game by delay it by another 6 weeks or work 6 days a week to get the game done. They overwhelmingly voted for the favor, finishing the game. The game journalists wrote these pieces and it affected them so negatively that they were actually afraid to celebrate the game going gold, which is actually fucking sad. Now, the further proof, look at this tweet, which involves a clip from Game Informer. Let's look at this.
And I feel like there's a really important difference, though, with CD Projekt Red. One, the compensation is above and beyond what they're already getting. Two, it's a short term before launch. And from what I understand from talking to a few people there was a discussion on, do we want to delay the game again or do we want to do this? And from what I heard, it was a mass majority saying that they agreed to the 6-day work week. There's another important aspect, and I will never advocate for crunch. I was in the military where we worked 15, 18-hour days, 7 days a week for 11 to 12 months. I will never advocate for crunch. But also the Polish working system and cultural attitudes towards employment and production is very different than how it is here. And not advocating for it, but the attitude in Polish development, even though the game development over there is still relatively small, it's very different from the workday basis. And in terms of crunch, everyone I've talked to that's over there
Mm-hmm.
has not seen it as a crunch. And from what I'm understanding is that it wasn't just a random drop of this is now mandatory. From what I understand is there was a discussion beforehand about weighing the different options. Did I talk to every single person at CD Projekt Red? No. But there's another important part of this that I really feel like doesn't get addressed, and especially with a lot of those like kind of not clickbait, but like deliberately inflammatory headlines, is that it's I don't know. I'm kind of
It's a complicated issue.
It's a complicated issue, and the fact that the day that they went gold, the conversation came back in flux. And I've talked to a couple of the devs that said they were like so excited to share people the news that it was gold. And one person directly told me, she was like, I'm almost scared to sound proud of what we did. She's like, I'm scared of what people are going to say if I say I'm proud of the work we did. And you shouldn't be scared to say what you've done. And this thing has been in production for how long? You earn the right to be proud of what you did. You earn the right. Do you feel burnt out? Do you feel taken advantage of? And she said no. And I'm like, then be proud.
I just saw there, this woman who works at Game Informer has proven that she has talked to several CD Projekt Red employees. You can go to her Twitter and look at it, and they all said it was voted on. The crunch time was not slapped on that. Adam didn't say, listen, you guys are going to work overtime right here, right now. No, they had a discussion saying, listen, we can delay the game another 6 weeks, another month, or we can go ahead and work 6 days a week. And they asked the employees, and the employees voted on the crunch. It wasn't mandatory. See, they promised no mandatory crunch, which means they're not going to force people to do it. They kept their promise. They voted on the crunch. The employees themselves wanted to get the game out. And because of hit pieces like Jason's fucking cunt move fucking article right here, they have employees scared to celebrate their game going gold. Jason, honestly, and you know what's funny? I want to sit here, I want to prove again how Jason's a fucking liar. So let's look at this tweet he did after that podcast came up, saying that Game Informer podcast recently suggested that my reporting on Cyberpunk 2077's crunch is incorrect. Never mind that I've interviewed nearly a dozen CD Projekt Red developers. Yeah, a year ago. Here's an email from the studio head, Adam, in June, apologizing to the developers partners for all the overtime. So let's go ahead and read this. Hey, I think there's no need for a long introductions for this one. We moved the date again to February 19th, and I know it's a bittersweet moment for many of you. On one hand, we're happy because we've gained extra time we all know that we need for the game to really shine. On the other, we're sad because it means a longer periods of intensive work. Now, if you're talking about this is what they mean by crunch, this is not crunch, Jason. If this is a quote unquote email, which I think is a fake fucking email anyway, um, that does not mean crunch. that just means we extended delayed the game. There's gonna be a few more months of working. That's probably what it means. Like, listen, it's gonna be a longer period of time of more hard work. You know, which that doesn't necessarily mean crunch. You absolute fucking idiot. And we are all running on fumes. Yeah, they've been working on this game for how many years now? I'd probably be pretty tired of working on the game too. I would like to offer you some sort of solve it all explanation, but I can't find any. Yeah, see, no. Adam from CD Projekt Red, he will always have an explanation for, if a game is delayed, if the game needs to be pushed back more, if the employees need to work harder. He will always have an explanation. And this right here does not sound like Adam, the head of. If you watch any interviews with Adam, this is not how Adam. No, no, no. I've watched hundreds of interviews with CD Projekt Red, and especially when it was upcoming release of Witcher 3, when that was coming out. He would always have an explanation for interviewers and for his employees, and even the employees of CD Projekt Red have stated that he will always have a reason for the things that he does. This right here is just a fucking blatant. If you're a fan of CD Projekt Red, you know that this right here is just a fucking lie. The truth is, we need to finish the game, and we won't finish it for September. Keep that line in mind. We won't finish it for September, right? What I can offer is telling you this. Each day we spend on polishing the game visibly pays off. We've just started the previews and the first impressions and are very, very enthusiastic. And it's all because of your extreme dedication over the last weeks and days. I hope when the preview drops on the 25th of June, we all get the extra confidence boost. If I could wish for anything, I would humbly ask you to endure the effort to deliver the game. I would also like to extend an apology to your partners and ask them for your support as well. Dear partners, I am fully aware of the hard work your loved ones often means they cannot participate on the home front, but I promise that this is the last stretch and the finish line is near. Really. So you're telling me right here, we won't finish it for September to, if this email came out in June, right, which it says right here, June 2020. September, let's see, June, July, August, September, that's 4 months, okay? So you're telling me that the truth is we need to finish the game and we won't finish it for September. So you're telling me that right here. And then you're going to say, oh, the finish line is near. Bullshit. You're contradicting yourself right here. All this hard work is going to lead to Cyberpunk 2077 becoming one of the, if not the most memorable games of this generation. I'm sure of that. Yours, Adam. This is such a fake looking email. I'm not even going to fucking lie. Especially with this big contradiction right here of, oh, we won't finish it for September. And then saying, oh, the finish line is near. So you're suggesting that the game will take longer to develop, but then say the finish line is near. Sure, Jason. Look, Jason, you got caught with your pants down. CD Projekt Red has spoken. They're going to speak out against this. I mean, employees have already spoken in Game Informer about what's going on. And your little article right here is going to get fucking slammed. It's already getting slammed as it is because of your bullshit journaling. Which is why I'm glad that, this lady right here, she spoke out. She spoke out, because she actually interviewed CD Projekt Red. She interviewed them. It said breaking news: Game Informer reports the citing CDPR sources that the CD Projekt, the Cyberpunk 2077 crunch story was blown out of proportion, and some devs were scared to celebrate the game going gold. CDPR did consider delaying the game again, but mass majority of devs supported the extra day for 6 weeks. So they supported it. Jason, you got caught. You got caught over-exaggerating things and trying to make another hit piece on Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt Red. Just admit that you were wrong and move the hell on. Because you got proved wrong. And you're going to sit there and say, oh, I interviewed nearly a dozen CDPR devs. Yeah, you interviewed them when? Like several weeks ago? Not several weeks ago, but like last year? Sure, buddy. Sure, Jason. And he's gonna come backtrack. Oh, a company embracing quote and crunch culture doesn't make it evil, but I've never seen so many people jumping through hoops to try to deny or underplay the reality of the way they're doing for Cyberpunk, for CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk. You're absolute smug piece of shit. I hope you get fired from your job, dude, because honestly, you've been doing this shit for years upon years, and no one's called you out on it until now. You get caught with your pants down, time to man up and own up to what you've done. This is the Film Attackers signing off.